Hi everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about the liver and if liver cirrhosis can cause your boobs to grow. And this is true. Yes, it does, but we're going to talk about why. And this happens in people of all genders. So in people assigned male at birth, this is usually referred to as gynecomastia, where you grow unexpected breast tissue. And then in people assigned female, this would just be extra growth onto the breast tissue they already have, because a lot of breast tissue proliferation and growth is stimulated by estrogen in the body. So we are talking today about mechanisms of increasing the levels of estrogen that would cause breast growth in people of all different genders. So we're going to talk about 3 different pathways, how this can happen, and we're going to break it down pretty simply today. We're not going to go into a whole lot of details. But the liver is responsible for metabolizing estrogen. So you have estrogen that floats around in your body. It goes through your arteries and your veins, and as it passes through your liver, it is converted to metabolites. And it's not important to know which of these metabolites there are. There are specific names, I think 3 or so different metabolites that are produced from estrogen in the liver, but that's not important. All you need to know is that estrogen goes into the liver. It is metabolized by some enzymes, and that it is converted to either less active or inactive metabolites. Because when we're talking about estrogen in the body, we're really mostly talking about estradiol, which is the most potent form of estrogen. So we get estradiol going into the liver. It is metabolized into less active metabolites. So these less active metabolites obviously are less active. They don't have as much function on the body. They're not going to stimulate these estrogen receptors very well compared to estradiol. So what happens then if we have liver cirrhosis? So liver cirrhosis is just a fancy term for basically liver atrophy, and this is usually a result of excessive alcohol consumption. So you wouldn't get this necessarily by having like a beer or a glass of wine at night. Like, this is going to happen from excessive alcohol use over a long period of time. So people who have been drinking for a lot of their lives, drinking very, very heavily, they're going to get basically liver atrophy. Their liver is going to shrivel up, and it's going to have these kind of fibrous nodules because the tissue is going to be replaced basically by scar tissue. So you have a liver that is now just kind of scar tissue and not really functional. So since the liver is responsible for metabolizing estrogen, what happens then if we take away the liver? So basically just pretend in this case, since we have cirrhosis, we don't have a functional liver. So the estrogen is going to go into this non-functional liver, and it can't be converted to metabolites. So then what's going to happen? You're going to increase the level of estradiol in the blood, and you're going to get it continually circulating. You're going to get it acting on breast tissue estrogen receptors, and it's going to cause proliferation and growth of the breast tissue. So yes, this is one mechanism why liver cirrhosis may cause breast growth in people assigned both male and female. But there are other mechanisms as well that can lead to this. So this is kind of the most basic mechanism. Secondly, something that can happen is the liver is responsible for producing a molecule called steroid binding globulin. And this is a molecule that binds estrogen in the bloodstream so that you don't have all of your estrogen constantly triggering receptors. You don't want too much estrogen at one time. So you have these molecules that will bind it, kind of hug it, and be like, no, you can't act on the receptors. So it reduces the amount of estrogen that is available to be active and gives you a more balanced response from estrogen. So with liver cirrhosis, we don't have a liver that can produce these steroid binding globulins. So here we go. As we have the steroid binding globulin, normally it would bind the estrogen, we decrease our free estrogen level. But if the liver does not work anymore, then we have no steroid binding globulin, or if we have a little bit of liver function, we might have less steroid binding globulin. So these go down. You get decreased steroid binding globulin, decreased complex, and complex is just when the enzyme or the molecule binds to the estrogen, so they become one unit. So these units go down, and you have increased free estrogen because it has nowhere to bind to, except just float around and stimulate receptors. So this is another mechanism why having liver damage could cause increased estrogen levels. And then there's something else, and this isn't specifically related to the cirrhosis itself, more to the cause of cirrhosis, relating to what happens if you do have excessive alcohol use, because alcohol acts on other hormones in your body to cause a similar kind of scenario. So we have ethanol, which decreases signaling of LH. And if you remember what LH is, it is luteinizing hormone, and it is responsible for a lot of these sex functions in the body. And it is also responsible for increasing testosterone production. So if you have alcohol that is decreasing your LH levels, then you're not going to be as likely to trigger the synthesis and release of testosterone. So what do we get here? High levels of ethanol will cause low levels of LH and decreased levels of testosterone. So you can see how this would cause some breast growth because we have high levels of estrogen from this situation over here. Two different methods to get increased free estrogen in the body and decreased testosterone. So these are just very simple pathways how liver cirrhosis can cause breast growth. I hope you enjoyed this video. We're going to talk some more about hormones in the body in future videos, but I will see you all in the next one.